What it do, folks? It is your boy Charles Younger here, along with Professor G, the OG Mark Ray, and we have a very, very special guest here, Darius Brockett, who is a student at the University of Maryland. He is a journalism major. First of all, Darius, introduce yourself to everybody out there.
Hey
Hey
everyone.
everyone.
Nice to meet you guys. I was a student at Maryland, but I finalized and graduated at Morgan, and now I'm just freelancing independently and now get to cover Maryland. It's been really fun this season. This is my first year covering them for football. I got to cover the Terps last year for both men's and women's basketball, so I'm excited overall.
Yeah, you like me, one of those ailing ex-Morgan fans who had to take another L from Towson, as seems to be the case each and every
Oh, it
year. So,
sucked.
uh, what do you make of Towson? Such a close proximity. They've had a real successful program. Um, I don't necessarily think they're going to present a challenge to Maryland, but what'd you see from them last week?
What I saw from them last week was a lot of resiliency and a lot of grit. They were down against Morgan, but that fourth quarter drive to put them up was something very impressive. Something I would have expected to go get a field goal to win. Head coach and that Towson team wanted to win that game, and they were saying, "We're not just going to kick a field goal. We're going to take the points and then put the pressure on Morgan's offense to have to go win the game with a touchdown." One thing I really took away from that game was the aggressiveness out of that offense. Although it's very slow pace RPO, it involves a lot of eye discipline from a lot of defenses. They are not afraid to take that deep ball when they have it.
So that's a CAA school, right?
Yeah.
All right. So the MO on them is they're physical teams. If you want to beat them, you got to get to the edge. That would lead me to believe that if you were playing those games of chance responsibly, I might have to look at Maryland and set the line at what 14, 2 TDs at the very least. I'm just wondering. I don't think they can keep up athletically.
The line, I believe ESPN has it at 17 and a half, which
Okay.
isn't a bad line at all. 14, you were close. So that shows exactly where these two teams are. We could expect it to be around there, given what we've seen from Maryland the last 2 weeks.
But Chuck, here's the big question about the last 2 weeks. All right, because I think reasonably speaking, in game one, would it be safe to say that the Terps, that is, they handled their business? Last week it got a little dicey, and it was a different level of competition. So, what do you make going into this one, Chuck? Because I'm confident that they're going to win, but I'm still scratching my head over what it will mean going into next week.
Well, from my what I saw is that they made a lot of mistakes. They were very inconsistent on third down on both sides of the ball. They had the ball several times, left a lot of points on the field, and they let the team definitely let Northern Illinois stay in the game. Surprisingly, even though they gave up 9 points, they left them in the game by letting the team convert so many third downs. So I know this, like I said, talent level wise, it should not be a contest. However, if you let teams stick around too long, that's when those underdogs tend to bite you in the butt and come and somehow do upsets.
I still don't think this game's about the X's and O's. I really think it's about the Jimmies and Joes, and I think that Maryland just has better Jimmies and Joes. What do you want to see other than them not taking catastrophic injuries in this game? I mean, if it were a heavyweight fight, I'd be looking at it to be some sort of bye or walkover or whatever. But
Mhm.
we could be wrong. I would doubt
Mhm.
it. But so aside from injuries, where you guys looking to see them improve this week?
Darius, you can take
I'm
it.
I'm it's more about discipline here. Like what Maryland has done these last 2 weeks defensively has been good, but it's also cost them because of penalties. We've had offsides penalties. We've had unnecessary roughness penalties. We've had a lot of miscues that have kept a lot of these teams' drives. When you look at the Northern Illinois game, when you look at the Florida Atlantic game, those drives were able to continue not because teams were better, but because the defense was unsound. And you say it's Jimmy's and Joe's. This is still X's and O's, and I'll tell you why. Because this defense is still fairly young. A lot of new kids are out here that come from the high school ranks. Also, they got 60 plus transfers that are playing who are probably freshmen on other teams that didn't see the field. So They may be bigger, faster, stronger, but there's still a lot of maturity that this team has to go through. So it's a small bit of X's and O's, and it comes from the discipline ranks.
And I want to take it to what Coach Locke had to say about that, just to expound on your point here.
Starts with correcting the mistakes and the errors. And if you look at Saturday's game, obviously, as I said, the scoreboard can lie to you. We easily left 14 points on the boards with Malik's fumble low in the red area, Dorian's drop that should have been a pass to Octavian in the end zone. It looks a little different. But I'm glad we were able to get those things because, as I've often said, mistakes are progress in disguise. And so each week I expect us to have to continue to clean and fix things as this team grows. I thought the running game on offense got better in the second half. Obviously, our third down issues that we've had on offense, we've got to get fixed. And it's a byproduct on defense as well, where we played a lot of plays on defense because of their ability to convert third down. So this week we spent a lot of time, again, trying to evaluate what we're doing and how we're doing it and the people that are doing it. And so I expect us, much like the penalties a week ago, we're plugging holes. We'll work really hard to get the third down stuff fixed.
He said it right there. The third down has to be fixed. Third down efficiency on offense, 31%. Third down efficiency on defense, 35%. Both those are towards the bottom of the nation. And when getting this Big Ten play, you have to be more. You have to be more stout on third down on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, you can't give your. It's certainly when the level of competition steps up, teams you can't give them extra possessions inside a drive. It's going to wear you out, and at that point, when you get a little bit more tired later into a physical season, you're going to see. And I'll use Wingate as an example because he's so fast. But you do lose a half a step when your body's a little bruised and you've taken some hits in a physical league like this. So that third down thing is definitely going to be a key. But Chuck, you and I had talked about how these 3 games at the top of the schedule were like the preseason. I think they're probing. I haven't had the conversation with Ted Monachino, but I will when I get the chance about how do you develop a defensive unit, using the principles of preseason to implement some things. And I don't know if they've taken really the lid off the jar, so to speak. So what they've been doing is they've been dominating in great fashion. But what have I mean, I really don't know what you get out of the Towson game, and this is what's concerning me, and I want to get y'all takes on this. I would have loved to see this had been game one, Florida Atlantic game two, and then, what was it, who was there last week?
Northern Illinois.
Right. Northern Illinois, who's a team that we had seen, beat Notre Dame a year ago, and I just thought that the progression of, easier, hardest, and it's gonna be an interesting thing that I'm wondering about as it relates to next week. You're going into the conference when you've wanted a tougher game than that fourth game or that last game in the preseason where where your roster is already set and you hold your starters out. I'm just wondering, does this game really benefit Maryland more than it could be a dilemma?
I think it's going to be a benefit for the fact that they can still tweak the X's and O's that are very important under Coach Ted and the defense. How Towson does run an RPO style offense, so they're going to be very physical, very, very, they got stout line, stout D line. So they're going to have to work on the fundamentals. I would say the fundamentals against Towson to prepare as they go out to Madison the following week and play against their former quarterback, by the way, and Billy Edwards. So that's going to be an interesting story. We'll talk about that next week. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things where Maryland is going to use this game to tweak, fix, and tone, I guess the best way to say, the mistakes they were making in games 1 and 2, and hopefully that will lead to more efficient play moving down the line in Big Ten play.
Jerry, when you look at how the team is gelling, because you up there charting plays and basically calling out what's happening before us. If you sit up there, there's kids incredible with that. It's like being in the assistant coach's box or something.
Mhm.
So when you look at what they've been doing in repetition, where are they getting better? Where do they have to get better, in your opinion?
So for this, it starts on the offense with Pep Hamilton, and it's not even a bad thing. It's actually very good. What they've done in these first 2 weeks is kind of get Malik comfortable with a college system and getting comfortable with having a script of plays. Where high school, you can kind of just go, "You're the best guy, we'll throw the ball deep," or "You're the best guy, we'll run the ball." Now you have game plans. So they're more so teaching him how to be a pro on the college level. And Pep Hamilton and his offense has kind of worked their way into it. This game in Towson, yeah, it's going to probably be a easier win if everything goes according to plan. But this is where the offense slowly opens up a little bit more. I expect to see Malik Washington a lot of run game, maybe nothing heavy, maybe 5 to 7 carries for the entire game, nothing too crazy, but get him more comfortable with the offense, get him more comfortable with his receivers, attacking the middle of the field. One thing that Maryland did really good in leading up to this game was getting him comfortable throwing outside the numbers, which he excelled in. But now it's like, hey, find your receivers. Let's get the receivers on their timing. Coach Loxley talked about it. That touchdown that was in the back of the end zone, that was should have been there. But because of the receivers and not having their correct depth, that's what we can expect. So it's more so getting your guys prepared to be professionals once we get in the Big Ten play. How would they adjust to that?
Hey, so what about that game plan thing for a second? It, free fall, because I don't know what we've really seen and what Maryland is showing in these games. You know what I'm saying? Especially, well, we knew Malik was like that, and what that means is very good for those of y'all who are cool impaired. We knew he was like that, right? And he's coming in and he's proven that he's got it like that. I mean, he's already showing up on watches for national awards or whatever. But how much do you think we've really seen? And if we haven't seen, 70% of it, do you think that the other 30 comes out, or do they keep that on lock? That means in hiding, folks, behind closed doors, until they open the season.
Is I think we've seen maybe about 45% of it, right? Because again, new offense coordinator, freshman quarterback, a whole lot of new receivers that didn't start are now getting their chance. So they're all still in the gel phase. So as this game plan is building, it's more of take everything we did back in June and July and we apply. Week one, we saw what August play game plans look like. Week two, we saw what September's game plan will look like. Week three, we're going to still see a little bit of what a September game plan or what an August practice should look like. But now it's starting to be fine tuned to being like, okay, are we going to be a north and south team, which means we're just going to punch people in the mouths, or are we going to be more of a zone team? Week one against FAU, first couple plays out the gate, they were testing the deep ball. They wanted Malik to be aggressive. They wanted him to show off that arm. It's like, we got a Ferrari, let's use it. Week two, they said, hold on, run game didn't work. We got to settle it in a little bit. And that's what they were trying to work on. Now we can expect a nice little blend, finding that balance, Coach Loxley said, that Malik Washington probably needs that's going to help him out. The offensive line needs it because we all know the offensive line needs their confidence. It's no fun if you just sitting back getting punched. You got to go push the big boys out the way too. So now we're going to see a nice little blend of all that together. To then by time we get to Camp Randall and we're looking at Wisconsin and we're down there, this team is just a little bit more confident than where they were week one, week two, because now they're like, okay, we've got a hang of this offense. We may not have it down packed, but we got a hang of this offense. So now we can start putting in new wrinkles, some little trick plays here, some little gadget plays here. Get your speedy guy. Again, last week, they go out in that second half or that one drive that led to a touchdown. First play when the run game wasn't working, it was a reverse. It was a reverse. So that was those little small creative wrinkles that we on the outside are not really thinking about, but it puts in play for what can lead later on down the season.
And to your point about the weapons as well, I have a little clip here from Shalik Knox, who has caught two of Malik's touchdown passes this season.
I feel like we've been working as a great unit on and off the field. We put a lot of work in on the off season. So I feel like during the first game, we bonded very closely. We worked together. There's things we got to work on, but it's things you got to work on each and every day, and we're building off that. Sitting behind a couple of guys that were in front of me, now it's my time to shine. Taking those two touchdowns in was very huge for me and the team. I feel like that's something I've been waiting to do my whole 4 years since I've been here. and I feel like I'm letting you guys see what I can do. I've been sitting behind great guys like Jay Sean Jones, Todd Felton, Caden Prather. There's been a lot of guys that came through that room, so I feel like over the years I've learned how to stay patient and wait my time. And I feel like that's something I'm teaching other guys because I know it's hard waiting behind other guys, watching guys make plays. So I feel like that's something I can do and be a leader for the team.
Or they just
I
reeks
mean,
of explosiveness potentially in during the course of the conference season. I mean, you
mhm,
got to think that Pep hasn't gone into the real bag of tricks yet. At least not as far as the full game planning, as though uh, you in the stakes for the run at the college football playoff, huh?
yeah, I mean, go ahead, Darius.
No, you have it. I'm pretty sure we and you were probably both in the same boat. It's all yours.
Well, I was saying he what he said about he's been here. This is his fourth year. He's studied under some current NFL talent. So he knows what he needs to do to able to elevate the level of play on offense. And with a coordinator who has NFL experience, such as Pep Hamilton, I mean, the sky's the limit. This kid could have easily gone to another school in the transfer portal. He has the talent, he has the skills to play somewhere else, but he decided to stick it out here, and he wants to be that leader on offense to help put this team over the top.
And helps when you got a guy like Jaleel Farouk on the other
Mm-hmm.
side. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's the and the thing that scares me about the team. I mean, it's strictly from a fan standpoint, is that the potential is so real that if it doesn't measure up, it's going to be so disappointing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but you can see the forest before the trees, quite frankly, with this team. Which, if you've been a fan, admittedly so, it's been hard to get out of the forest for quite some time. So, is this time to buy in?
And I also want to ask you, Darius, since the schedule is a little lighter, no Ohio State, no Penn State. This is the year for Maryland to make that run. So what do you think about the fact that this team has the opportunity to maybe make a little noise in the Big Ten?
So for Maryland right now, for fans and everyone listening, I don't want to sugarcoat it and say, oh, this is a CFP team. It's not yet. Not yet. Like again, this team has so much potential. You have to take account in the inexperience. But again, when you look at this schedule, you can see a C tier Maryland Big Ten team jump into that B tier team because of how this schedule looks. They play a team that was in the college football playoff. Actually, they played two teams that was in the college football playoffs in the past 2 years in Washington and Indiana, and on the verge of Illinois and Michigan, who are all in that bubble that was A tier teams. So when you look at it as a whole, those games right there are the ones that I would circle to be your true test to let this team know where do we stand at least today and then where we stand going forward, because they're only going to get better. They have a recruiting class that's slowly getting bigger and better after recruiting a 5-star DN. So this year may not be a CFP year, but it is a year where you can go, whoa, we went from bottom 10, we went from like 10, 11, 12 in the Big 10 to now we're sitting at 8, 7, 6. Whoa, we're 5. And so on and so forth. This is what we call in most cases the breakfast team, right? It's the first team of the year. It's your first team that you're going to have with a quarterback that you can fully develop on its own, a receiving core that you can develop on its own, an offensive coordinator that's married to a guy that he also came in with. So it's going to set the table for what the future can be. This year, probably not for a CFP, but it definitely gets you chomping at the bits for it.
Well, I guess Chuck and you and I, since I launched the show, or we launched the show, right? I've been talking about how Indiana raised the bar for expectations for all of us. We talk about Maryland has always been thought as a basketball school. Football hadn't been a stepchild, but it hasn't been as relevant. Really not since the days of say Bobby Ross. We had a little bit uh, with Ralph Friedgen there. So, with that being said, what does a successful season look like to you? I mean, you've taken CFP off the grid. So, what's a reasonable goal?
Well, for
Well,
me,
for
I'm
me, I'm
thinking
thinking
7 wins
7
is a reasonable goal. They went from 4 wins last year, increased by 3 wins. I think that's a reasonable win. That's a bowl game, maybe the Mayo Bowl. I know you keep talking about that mayonnaise bowl, but we
I'd
might
rather
get
go to Memphis. I'd rather do the Liberty Bowl than the Mayonnaise Bowl.
we'll have a warm weather game. We'll have a warm weather bowl game
Yeah,
in December or January.
that ain't Memphis.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse and say this team is there, but you can see the baby steps. And I want to actually play this segment from Malik Washington about how this team can make its progression better moving forward.
I think really just capitalizing on every possession. In this game, sometimes it gets hard. Those possessions become few and far in between, just with the way the game is played later in the season, with a lot of teams being kind of run heavy. So time of possession, goes up for each team. So just, taking advantage of every possession that we get and capitalizing in the red zone. With the ebbs and flows of the game, be able to stay consistent and stay level, like keeping a level head on your shoulders. I think as a quarterback, that's a really important trait that you have to have, just because at all times, most of the team, offense, defense, special teams, is looking to you in those moments of, like peril, anything like that. Like they're looking to you to see what you do and how you react. And if you keep it level and keep it calm, they'll react the same way.
He said it right there. I mean, the team, like I said, has left a lot of points in the field, and he had his first turnover in that fumble in the red zone. So since you are the savant here of the X's and O's of Maryland football, what do you think about his point of view about taking advantage of every opportunity, because they're going to have opportunities in this game against Towson since they are playing a FCS school and they are FBS. So what are your thoughts about him trying to take advantage of those opportunities in this game to perfect some of his skill sets moving forward into Big Ten play?
Hey, Darius,
So-
Chuck Frost and that University of Maryland education on you right there with that vocabulary, my friend.
Yeah, he tried to trip me up.
Yeah. Show that Terp degree off from Merrill School there, my brother. Get it in.
But no seriousness though. Like we look at it, that's the maturity I was talking about. Like he already has it in his head of understanding. Once we get in the Big Ten, a conference that's known for 4 yards in a cloud of dust until they introduce UCLA and Oregon, you're not going to have many possessions. You could have a game that goes from 10 possessions that can get cut down to 7. You look up, a team done ran the ball and took 8 minutes off the clock, and now you're sitting there trying to run a 2-minute offense to start off your whole second half, your second quarter. So they understand. And I think because of Pep Hamilton, because of Coach Loxley, because of the NFL background that they built with this coaching staff, they already have it prepared in their heads. Okay, he's going to be nervous. He's going to be shook. There's going to be environments he's never faced before. Like Michigan State at the end of the year, although it's not a crazy stadium, a crazy atmosphere, barring its counterpart, the Big House in Michigan, it's still very loud. It's still very ruckus. So those are those things that you mentally got to prep into his head. Like, hey, you have to remain calm. This team has to remain calm. Everyone will follow the leaders, the seniors and the leaders of this team. He's obviously has put himself in this position to be that guy, the way he talks, the way he acts, the way the team has bonded around him. Even Shalik Knott as a receiver who's talked about his patience. This team, as young as it is still very mature for its years. Although, like physically, yeah, it'll show immaturity once you get into conference play. But mentally, you can see they're starting to understand it. So having that knowledge is very important.
Yeah, they're like a worldly team. You know what I'm saying? They're wise beyond their years because you listen to the way that Malik particularly handles the press conference, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what happens on the field as much as it is creating the presence of confidence for his teammates. And that's an intangible leadership quality that I don't think a lot of people really give a guy who was worrying about prom dates about 6 months ago. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes to me, I don't know how you guys see him. There are ways that he handles himself like a seasoned veteran. I mean, this is like a guy that comes in, knows his role, knows he can do it like that, and just handle it on all levels. It's kind of interesting, and has me as a guy who's been around the block a lot, kind of like taken back. I'm like, wow, you don't see guys like that often. There's a word that he's special, and you hope that they can take advantage of the opportunity with special talent like this.
And the fact that he has 3 senior receivers and Jalil Farouk, Shalik Knott, and Octavian Smith Jr., along with people get remember his name, Dorian Fleming, the sophomore tight end, who also has two other Malik's touchdown catches, who has been on the season so far 10 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's that long of 48, which he had against NIU. So this guy, he's got weapons to throw to. Now they did talk about the running game, which is going to have to step up that running game when they get into Big Ten play. But another thing I want to talk about as well is they're going to need some fan support as well because Big Ten stadiums they bring it. People talk about the SEC and they have their fans, but the Big Ten stadiums are big stadiums and they bring fan noise. And they're going to need the fan base down the stretch to come in and show up because they had a very good showing this week when it comes to the fans showing up for the game day. And here's Coach Malik talk about the fans coming to the game this week.
To be back in the shell for a third week. 12,000 students last week. They really were the foundation for the atmosphere, and that was great to see that many students. And I think it's the most that I've had during my tenure show up the way they have, and we're hopeful that they'll show up again this week.
It's been pretty amazing, I would love more intensity from the crowd, just to build us more upon for when it comes in season. Just being honest, I love the crowd loves us, and, as a unit, we accomplish with the crowd.
It's meant a whole lot, that energy that the fans bring and then the alumni and the faculty that they all bring, it gives us a boost on the field knowing that we have so many people behind us.
That 12th man, baby. That
12th man. Yeah.
That's why they call Michigan the big house, because, man, that is an amazing building, too. I will say that. You know something? The big house is so large, you could get whiplash standing on the block just looking up. I mean, it's just like layers to it's an amazing building, bro. I mean, it's old. It's kind of like old fashioned rickety meets cosmopolitan. It's like that old what do you call it? The condominium building in Manhattan, and somebody buys it and turns it into a luxury spot. That's kind of like the big house. But to your point, Chuck, um, I don't know if Maryland has a home field advantage. And I will say that because we sit directly across from a side of the field that should be packed with black and red all the time. And I get the sense that side is often filled with the opposition's colors making a lot more noise. And fans have got to take back because I'm not quite sure they appreciate the 12th man around here unless it's a pro game and you need to bring some of that passion into the stadium because I think you were making a point about intimidating environments and juiced up fans who go to the next level. That's something that we don't want to see, but happens. I don't encourage like that, but you want your fan base to make it uncomfortable for the opposition. I don't know if we've got that yet. Is it because A, nobody's interested, or P, people are just uh, punch drunk from struggling so long?
Well, they are only 2 seasons away from a bowl game after we had the quarterback play of Talia Tagovailoa, and we had the down year under last year. But this could be the bounce back year to a bowl game. Maybe you just need that one turnaround year to get the fans more interested in coming to the games.
How far does that run have to go? What does that look like, though? I mean, you're talking about a bowl game in December amongst the other games of the playoffs. Because see, that's my. I guess if that's the one beef I've got with the playoffs is it's kind of diminished the significance of the bowl games that are not in the playoffs. There was something that went and I know guys that got championship rings from like the holiday bowls and stuff like that. It doesn't mean anything to them, but they got those rings, right? It's like we didn't win our conference. What do I want to do with this win? They give it to a girl or something and be a cool date gift, turn it into a chain or whatever. But it gave the fan base a reason to be excited. And I think that if that would be one thing that would concern me going into the season, particularly with the home schedule, you got to have your crowd because we all know, just like we see in this area during football season, if you don't purchase those tickets, there's so many people around here from other places, they will purchase those tickets and you lose your home court or home field advantage. And I think as the turnaround begins, that 12th man is going to be important in College Park. I don't know how you guys see it, but that's something that I was thinking about last week when Northern Illinois was trying to get back into the game in the third quarter, I believe it was, and I was waiting for this groundswell of, and it never came. Although we had the 12,000 students in there, they were whooping it up, but the other side. Uh, Darius, what's the deal? You know, because young Baltimore fan, if you will, uh, gravitated towards the Crab Five last year. Um, will that, and I mean that seriously, can football attract that fan base if they, make a long, consistent, stable run?
Yeah, like 1000%. The thing about football or any sport, winning breeds excitement. I grew up a Commanders fan. I grew up a Redskin fan, football
Mm.
team fan, however you want to call it. My best years of remembering how good the team was, 2006. Then you have those years where it's on and it's off, it's on, it's off. Then you have this Jaden Daniels year, or you have that RG3 2012 year, and everybody and their dad and their great grandma wanted to go to those games. So, how does this affect Maryland? If you guys win, if this team can win, if they can go out and stack not one win, but 2 wins and 3 wins, and not just your quote unquote preseason games against these FCS or these group of 6 teams, your conference wins, that's when you get that crowd rocking because that energy starts to swell. And now those teams that used to beat you by a 3-point game or a 7-point game, now you can run the table. You can run the gauntlet against a Nebraska and Matt Rule. You can run the table against a Deshaun Foster and a UCLA. You can run the table against a Greg Schiano and a Rutgers. Those games that are 50-50 games for you now become 75-25 because now the fan base is involved. Every coach needs timeouts. And when do they lose them? Right there before they get that delayed game penalty. Right there when the fans are active and rowdy. Right off of pick six. The fans show up and wins can start piling. Winning breeds excitement.
And I will give them credit. They've added a bit of an entertainment component, especially during the timeouts, as opposed to just the bands playing in the stands and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a pro element that you add to it. So in this time of experiences, I got to give credit where credit is due to the athletic department to create a fan experience. We just got to get, or they have to get more fans into the stands to enjoy that experience. First step is winning, and I think they really got some personalities that bring color to the program. No pun intended, but they're almost like gregarious type of personalities and well-spoken people who can step outside the realm of just being athletic entertainers to ambassadors for the program if framed right. Um, Chuck, what do you feel about that going into the latter stages of what I call the preseason of the regular season?
Well, it's going to be interesting how they bring in that fan base for a game that many might think overlooked because it's Towson, I said. But I think if James Smith, who is done a good job with in the pro leagues of bringing in that entertainment value, what he did with the Atlanta Braves down there, that center there. And then you have, like I said, a winning product on the field. The combination of that front office mentality with a quality product on the field, it's only going to bring in more eyes to the system. And being in the Big Ten, which is obviously another big option, big gain for Maryland to have more eyes. You're playing these national, these nationally ranked schools such as like Oregon, your Washingtons, your Indianas, your Michigans. That's only going to, and if you don't win these games, even if you show up a level of competitiveness against these teams that are, you know, consistently in the top 10, 15 ranked teams, that's going to say, hey, that maybe that freshman who comes to Maryland this year is like, oh, wow, maybe instead of doing this, I might go to catch a football game because the team's actually pretty competitive. I might go check it out. It's going to be baby steps. It's going to be, integral steps to increase the eyes on the product and that's going to also lead to more recruits coming to the product and make the team better overall.
And I like the position of where they are in between two markets like DC and Baltimore. That's a unique kind of place. I think Pennsylvania has Philadelphia and Pittsburgh as metro areas. Not too many. Texas has like Dallas and Houston and all that kind of stuff. California's just so big. You got so many markets to choose from. But from right here, and for those around the
Virginia,
yeah,
Virginia,
Virginia
yeah.
Tech and Virginia haven't been that good. So Maryland has the chance to dominate the
That
recruiting pipeline.
that Virginia Beach area is historically phenomenal with talent. So if Maryland can trickle down that way, collect some of those players from Virginia Beach area. 757 is historically, like, you had the Vic brothers down there. You had so many players and music as well come from that area. They got a you know
still a
skills in that talent.
Mississippi Elliott fan, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Virginia, so I know about how UVA and Tech were under George Welsh and Frank Beamer. How they 90% of their talent came from down there. So Maryland's like, hey, instead of going to UVA or Tech, why don't you bring it up here? It's only a couple extra hours up the road. Bring your butt down to College Park.
And if there's one thing that the DMV fan base can agree upon is that everybody got a feeling about the Terps. Everybody does. And you'll find that there's division in certain places, but if there's one unifying thing between Baltimore and DC, when the Terps are on top, everybody's cool with it. Commanders fan is always going to talk to Ravens fan a certain way and vice versa. But the potential for this thing, and I don't want to be so Pollyanna about it, but the potential for this thing, if it works out, when you get to that consistency of 8 wins and being the talk of the college football playoffs, I see why there's so many people that were interested in just how attractive the athletic director job was when it was open last summer. And you translate that down to football, it could be really, really interesting this year. This could be a
Yeah.
turnaround moment.
Yeah, I want to take it back to actually on the field, and Zahir Mathis is one of the freshmen on the defense who's been performing extremely well under the tutelage of defensive coordinator Coach Macchiano. But let's hear from Zahir Mathis about what he has to feel about how playing under Coach Ted on defense.
Working under Coach Ted, he's pretty unique. He's real inspiring. He does big things for me, and it's just amazing on how he works us in the room and establish us to be physical on the field. I love Coach Ted's style. At first it was a little rough for me getting in. In high school, I played as a hand-down edge rusher. And just getting here, becoming an outside linebacker, it's new for me, but it's definitely firing up on me. I'm pretty amazed at what I can do, and the way that he set up the scheme is, everything is just advertised for us to be the best.
He said it right there. I almost called him. I almost called him Ted Macchiato. Like, thinking about, I need a cup of coffee to wake my butt up right now.
I thought you were thinking about Karate Kid.
Yeah, Ted Macchiato. Hey, you all right, LaRusso? But if you look at the Maryland defense, it is young, athletic, and pretty big. You have on the defensive line, you have Dylan Fontes, a junior. You have Evan Thomas, a sophomore. And you have Cam Rice, transfer graduate student. Then the linebacking core, Mathis, freshman. Riddick, sophomore. Wingate, junior. Sidney Stewart, freshman. And then in the back end, you have some leadership in the back end behind Jalen Husky, who's a senior. You have Le'Veon Scruggs. You have Dante Jordan, who's back this year. And you have Jameer Glasker. This defense has got the front seven is young, athletic, big, putting pressure on the quarterback. Like I said, we talked about Daniel Wingate, who's a Butkus Award watch list all over the field. Wingate is so far in the season has, under 2 games played, 24 tackles, 9 solo, 9 assists. We talked to Trey Reddick. I talked to Trey Reddick last week. He has, he's been all over the field. Last week he had like something like 11 tackles and a sack. So these guys are basically, I think they're playing. They kind of remind me of that Ravens defense. They're everywhere. Like they're running a 3-4 style hybrid defense. They're putting pressure on the outside. Riddick and Wingate in the middle, controlling the middle. So, Darius, what do you see about this defense when it comes to how well they are patrolling the field, making tackles, hopefully improving that third down conversion rate on defense, and basically just being like what this team needs to get over the hump of winning more games in the Big Ten.
Well, this defense, as young as it is, they make good mistakes. So for those who don't know what good mistakes are, those are mistakes that you make that can easily be fixed, easily worked at just by looking at film. And because they are so young, it's something that you can easily correct. It's these guys fly across the field. All 11 hats are to the ball. They are able to rush four-man pressures so far that we've seen in these first 2 weeks. And we haven't even seen a bunch of looks that defenses give. I know earlier I talked about the offense and how that game plan is still in the vanilla phases. Same thing for this defense. We're not seeing a lot of stunts. We're not seeing a lot of linebacker blitzes. We're not seeing a lot of corners coming off the edge. So the defense still has a lot of tricks in its sleeve. So the fact that they're able to, in these quote unquote non-conference games and what some will deem preseason games, able to get pressure from a young front four, a young front seven, that shows that, oh, we got something here. So when they get into that conference play, when they're at Camp Randall against Wisconsin next week, they will be able to, we can see that full potential on display. Because if you're getting rushes with four guys now, imagine what you can do with the pressure when you got 5, 6. It's a hat on the hat. Everyone's even the line. You're gonna take away a running back who's usually on an option route, who now has to stay in and block. Quarterbacks now have a limited option choices. That defense can really go. Now for the secondary on that end, you just got to do your job and hold down your zone or hold down your coverage. That front four going to get the job done.
What
Yeah,
about
like you
those?
said,
I was going to
I was
say,
gonna say that. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, Menachino probably hasn't shown us those exotic blitzes with people coming from different directions. We really, to your point, have seen a bland defense. All right. And they've been pretty effective at, winning against the competition that they face. But I think Darius hit on something there, Chuck, where you start looking at the way that they expand the defensive playbook and let us see what they can do on the field, because there's no doubting that they can get pressure even with a front four, but coming from with their linebackers. And I think the secondary is sneaky outstanding. And the one thing I like about it is the fact that they're speedy. But I'm anxious, like you guys are, to see really what Coach Menachino does to bring some of those Ravens type blitz packages into the Maryland game plan to see how it works out for them.
Yeah, and you said something about mistakes. There's Coach Lossie had this one quote that sticks with me. I wrote down: "Mistakes are progress in disguise."
Yep.
So if this team can, take the mistakes, this is the best time to make the mistakes early in the season, make them now, learn from them, and correct them moving forward when you play the higher competition. I just think this team, this defense, like I said, once they get to Wisconsin, Nebraska, when they have to learn how to expand their defense, they'll know like what they did wrong and how to perfect that moving forward.
But fair enough. Well, and
Mhm.
he just got some exotic stuff that he's been holding back for. It's like,
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I've seen it's been a lot of base defense the first 3 games. So, but let's bring it full circle. Let's talk about the upcoming game against Towson. Coach Loxley's alma mater. He is a Towson Tiger, graduated from there back in '92. Now he's the head coach. And let's hear what Coach Loxley has to say about Towson.
On deck is my alma mater, a place I have an affinity for. It's because of Towson I'm able to stand here before you guys. So I got a lot of respect for Coach Shinnick, the Towson program, and a lot of fond memories from my days as a Tiger. Coach Shinnick is a winning guy, a guy that's won national championships at the Division II level. He's built programs, and I'm really, you can tell that he's got this program going in the right direction.
Well,
Talented.
they
Whoop,
always
all right.
are tough. I mean, as one who's been victimized by the wrath of Towson annually for decades. um, they are in the rarefied air of FCS football, and we've
Mhm.
seen sometimes in this conference and on major stages that what would appear to be a superior favorite um, can get caught up in not taking these guys seriously. I don't think that that's going to happen with this team, because their coach wants to beat his alma mater no matter how much they've done for him. It would be
Mhm.
an example of just how much they have of knowledge that they've thrown into him to win this. And um, again, my biggest concern, and I should never be like this as one who's supposed to be objective. It's about health in this game for me, guys. It's about keeping guys healthy. Now, what that looks like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, health is this is a game we have to escape with no injuries because there's nothing worse than going into the heart of conference play with injuries to key players. So this is going to be one of those things like get your work in and get out as efficiently and as healthy as possible.
You're 1000% health, and you said, like Professor G, you said it right. You don't know what that looks like. I've sat there and heard coaches say this from day one when they go to training camp and they start that summer. The moment that day hits, that first day, coaches have always said, this is the last day you'll be 100%. This is the last day you'll be 100%. And I think, again, health is very key. We don't know what it looks like, but these guys know they're going to go in this game, most likely handle business and recover and film and recover and film and practice. So health is wealth. We all know that. You can't win anything without being healthy on the field. Game of luck, game of chances. For me, it's not just health. It's more so also wanting to see how expanded will this playbook get on both sides of the ball. I said both of it. We don't know, but a game against a team like Towson, against a team like this that runs this style of offense, that will take some time off the ball, that will grind it out. They do a lot of East and West offense for this defense. How do you find ways to keep that turnover machine going? You've gotten turnovers in both games. How do you find a way to keep that momentum? How do you now start to implement just little tweaks to that base defense? It may still look in base format, but instead of a cover 3, it's a cover 3 shell and it shows cover 2. So just those small wrinkles I want to see when you talk about this game going forward. Malik, how will you look with your arm? How are you going to progress? Run game, definitely want to see that improve. But health, 1000% agree, is number one on my agenda as well.
What's up with you, Chuck?
Well, I can't disagree with Darius anymore. I can't agree with him anymore. Excuse me. Health is going to be key. This is going to be one of those games. Like I said, it's just going to be, like I said, I'd rather get in, get your work in, work on what you need to get done, and get out healthy. There's nothing else I can really say more than that because we said this is interesting. So I just looked at the odds of this game, and it's 29.5 is the going rate of this spread here.
Wow.
That Maryland's favorite, and the over-under being 50.5. So that means that Maryland's going to have to keep their offense out there for at least a half in order to get this number going. So,
Chuck, I don't
know,
think
man.
that's the prime directive.
No.
I don't think that they're worried about covering the line.
No.
Not by 29. That is too rich. Really, for me, in a game like this where you figure them to get out to a big lead, I don't think coach runs it up on them. So to me, I might take Towson where I were responsibly participating in those games of chance. I might find a couple coins for Towson there. You know, you take Maryland on the money line, but you take Towson to cover the spread.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
I love it. So I think it's probably going to be a consensus that we all agree that Maryland should win this game. Now, if they win the spread, if they cover the spread, they get the over/under. That's either here nor there. If you have issues with gambling, 1-800-GAMBLER, call them right now. If you have issues, do not. What's your catchphrase, Mark, about the gambling?
Well, some people don't understand what irresponsible gambling is. So if you debating on whether or not to pay your mortgage or place a bet, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, it's really that simple. If you're debating on whether or not to go into your child's college fund to place a bet or to cover, you got a problem. Okay, it's that simple. This is for fun. That is for real. When your fun starts getting real, 1-800-GAMBLER. Bet responsibly and don't bet any more than you can lose.
And speaking of gambling, I'm going to have to show a little clip from our Voice of College Football Bets site here.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner.
Mark talking about he been doing it for 40 years. He don't look like he's 40 years old. How you pull it off?
Well, when you're winning,
Yeah, I guess so. You age well, right?
that stress level is not there when you win, because I'm not winning. These grades are coming through in the beer because I'm not winning like you. I need to follow Mark's lead here.
You got the answers to the test.
Exactly. Oh, gentlemen, this has been a fantastic little show we've had today. I want to thank Darius for joining us today. So, Darius, can you tell the viewers, the listeners, the millions and millions of people out there how they can follow you out there in the social media?
First and foremost, great reference there. Millions. That's a perfect reference. Just former WWE watcher. Perfect reference. Got to give you props on that.
Oh, y'all will get along fine.
You guys can find me on all my social platforms at Brockett Media, Brockett. For those that still confused, Rocket, add a T in front at the end and a B in front. Media, Brockett Media. This has been really fun. I would love to do this again whenever you guys just ask and I'll be there, guys. That's all.
You just don't know you got recruited. We just don't have NIL money.
Oh, that's cool. What am I, 3-star? I can work my way around it. Just give me a Wendy's budget.
No, we're that team that wants to compete, but our donors don't give enough money. So we have to beg, and hopefully we can hold you for a year or two before you get your big payday.
Hey, I'm all about development here. You know.
All right, and we have Professor G, Mark Gray. Tell them where they can find you, sir.
Wow. At the Sports Groove. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Still trying to figure out how to work that, but I think it has a place during college football season. And on the Sure Shot, which airs on Sunday mornings on kick.com. So talking a little NFL wagering and stuff like that with former Washington Redskin Gary Clark, Lois Cook, and Chad Morton. The other Chad Morton, not
the other Chad, not Chad Morton,
but that Chad. Yeah, you know.
And you can find me at CharlesNYONGA. I practice that plenty of times. That's at Charles Younger across all social media platforms, even MySpace. I keep telling you, I'm bringing MySpace back. So,
what are we doing here? What, you gotta throw that one away. What are we doing?
Dude,
never lost.
You know something? It's that old sweatshirt that you had that you know you can't wear. That's
the holes in it.
No, maybe
in your closet. That's him with MySpace. Hey,
maybe Farmville. I still go check on my farm on Facebook every couple of years, but not MySpace.
Well, you know, the internet has never been beaten, and neither is social media. So hey, I shut what my
old is new
like these days. MySpace. Wow.
All right, this has been Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. Thank you guys for tuning in very much. For Darius, for Professor G. Mark Ray, we'll say deuces and see you soon.